Oh, and there's a problem here for that's Heikki Kovalainen. Problem there. Race director Charlie Whiting. Of any problems? Problem. Oh dear. Wow. You might want a word with Bohemia because that could have been a problem. Oh, there's a problem here. Now that didn't help. Oh dear, dear. Although we talked a lot about Massa and his problems. Learning all the time, the team. They need as much information as possible without the testing on track. This is one of their problems. You are spot on. There was contact and there's problems, big problems. Oh, there's Vettel. Robert Kubica has got a problem. Kubica's out. That problem with the engine. And passive face from his father, but Hamilton then with problems. And this, of course, is one of the problems. This car has done it all so far this weekend. There were problems, remember, in qualifying yesterday. And there's a car going into the pits there. That's Robert Kubica, and Nakajima's going through as well. Maybe they were the two who had a problem.
Just some lapping going on.
It's past Fisichella, so there hasn't been a problem there. But a great start from Rubens Barrichello. Oh, all sorts of problems there. There's a real problem there. And there's a problem for Raikkonen. They're going to be closing, and when is that gap going to be such a problem that actually they get left behind? And absolutely no problems at all with reliability. And I suppose this could be Vettel's big problem. Now, has there been a problem here? I have no problem with Lewis Hamilton. Did you know that?
And there is Hamilton with
a puncture, has he? There's a problem with the right rear.
Yeah.
So that was Hamilton's problem. So problem there with the tyres. He's due in now. This is really going to could cause problems. The rear right of Rubens Barrichello. That is his problem. Fernando Alonso is retired because of problems. But as we've already said, Button has problems on the jacks in free practice yesterday morning. Problems with hydraulics. There's a problem though with Jenson Button. Let's hear about Sebastian Vettel's stop in the pits. Problem, Ted Kravitz.
Problem.
Now Kovalainen coming in. Now has he got a problem? Wondering also whether Vettel has a problem, whether he's got enough fuel. Maybe just a thought about all this refueling problems. Because Vettel in the wars, down in 16th place after that problem. There's Nakajima. Is that a problem? It is. Whoops, that's a puncture and a half. Woof. He's gone from 6th to 2nd. Now he's hunting down Fisichella.
He's gone wide. He's gone across the grass.
Oh, there's a problem there. That was a BMW into the back of him. It's Robert Kubica. There's a bit of debris there. And there's a problem there with a Braun and a Grosjean. And there is Alonso. Hello. Oh dear, that's wrecking it. Oh. Another problem. And there is a very disgruntled double world champion. Second retirement in 3 races because of problems. Frustrating qualifying for both Heidfeld and Kubica with those engine problems. Well, they both had problems. Something edgy here, hoping there are going to be no problems. That is interesting because that was the problem which caused McLaren to work all the way through the night because of a wiring problem.
Now he's crossed the white line.
That could be problems.
Take a drive-through for that.
Oh. And that's Adrian Sutil who's in a bit of a problem.
When they're released from the safety car.
History repeats itself. Oh dear me, it's problem there. Alguersuari had the same problem with Ferrari and Massa last year, but I think possibly Jenson Button knows that himself, doesn't he? We've just witnessed for ourselves the brake problems. Problem here for Heidfeld was there. Vettel may have had a problem, but he's still out in front.
He's understeering all over the place.
Oh, there's problems there as well. That's Sutil, and there's a Toyota there. Was that Jarno Trulli? Gearbox problem for Nico Rosberg. So Rosberg's retired. Gearbox problem there. Calm for Christian Horner. None of the problems that they suffered before. Now needs to make sure that, unlike Lewis Hamilton, there are no moments coming through here. Any untoward problems. Jenson Button coming in now. This needs to be efficient and it needs to be effective. No delays, no problems. And Hamilton is through. It's got worse there for Rubens Barrichello. He started from pole, he hoped to win. He's not even going to be on the podium now, it would seem. Problems there with the car. Engines letting go. Fuel feed problems, or was it just running out of petrol? I'm intrigued to see. I never thought he might have caused a problem. Hello? There's a problem.
Toro Rosso.
We may have a right rear brake problem. I'll keep you posted.
So, there's a problem there, and there is Alguersuari. There is a problem, a mechanical failure. I mean, the second half of the season they got everything right, really. I mean, they had the problems, fastest cars at the front, and then they're just going to disappear. And the only change to the racing, or any randomness, will be any mechanical problems. Keep away from that white line. We've had problems enough with that. Sliding ahead for Jenson Button. We're still looking for where Sebastian Vettel is. It looks as if it's going to be a 1-2 finish, unless there's a problem here. With a move up there by Michael Schumacher, who seems to have got ahead. There was a problem there. Is it from Mark Webber? But then lack of downforce again seemed to be their undoing. Remember last year they took such a long time to get to the bottom of the problems there. There's a new 55-metre safe release area within the pit area in order to ensure that there are no problems. Now what's gone on here, talking about problems, apparently he's lost fourth gear, so this is a problem. So it's working out so far for Red Bull. We talked so much, and so much of the talk within the paddock was of how Red Bull have had problems with that Red Bull were having problems. Ferrari far more consistent, had problems on the softer compound. Same problem, by the way, that Kobayashi suffered. Sebastian Vettel struggling, so seemingly engine problems. Is reliability going to cause a problem for Red Bull?
Expect more rain in about 10 minutes. Try to look after your tyres. More rain on the way.
Well, there's an example of how difficult it is. Jenson must go straight off the track onto the gravel, and that's a real problem. So they have brought Schumacher in as well, but he was way down the field, so there was no problems. Problems with one of the cars hasn't started at the back there. Rubens Barrichello stalled, it seems. That was one of the problems there. It's a Red Bull 1-2, but we've seen them do so well before, and then problems with enough runoff areas here, unlike in Australia, where there could be all sorts of problems. Oh, there's Kamui Kobayashi, another problem for the Sauber. Michael Schumacher is slowing down. Now, what's the problem there? And that'll really keep Nico Rosberg in the running. No problems there. If you got a chance to overtake, you go for it. You keep going. Don't think there's going to be a problem. That was a good move then. That was the closest he's got now. Is there a problem? Fernando Alonso out of the race. Just when we were building up to see if he was able to make a move on Jenson Button in the closing stages, there's a problem. And this man is Hello? There was a little bit of a problem there. Here we have first evidence that the rain is not that problematical, but the problem is how long will this last?
And look at that, side by side.
Because there's meant to be this 55-metre area release, isn't there, as well? A safe release back into the pit lane because of the problems we've seen. Oh, there's another problem.
Vettel fancies a look around the outside into turn 1, and Hamilton will get blocked.
This is one of the problems. Not even at half distance, and we're waiting to see whether we're going to get yet more rain. Oh, there's a problem there. It's Chandok who's going back, actually. The blue flag should be waved. He should be moving aside to allow the cars to come through, and that, of course, causes problems. Sautil has made up ground because it was Red Bull, and was it also Vettel who had a problem?
Okay, Jenson, you are matching Lewis. You are matching Lewis and pulling away from the rest of the field.
Reassurance there, but he was a little concerned. I think Hamilton could be causing him problems. Any accidents? Certainly last year there were problems. Remember Michael Schumacher stopped in Malaysia, didn't he, with a problem? Yes, it was Webber who had the problem there. Kovalan didn't start, I'm afraid, because of a gearbox problem. Here's Sebastian Vettel having a bit of a problem in the midfield section after a bit of a rocky weekend. Not great on Friday morning when outpaced by Paul di Resta, and then problems. This is nursing the car, just as in Bahrain, the last dry race for qualifying as well as Sunday, and had problems there. Fernando Alonso benefited from a pit stop problem. Alonso's into second, back on the podium it would seem, unless he has a problem. Sebastian Vettel, bad pit stop, problems with brakes.
But that actually works quite well for Fernando Alonso.
Perfect, he doesn't have to stop again unless there's a problem. Pedro de Rosa staying there for Sunday lunch, I think. Real problems. They're still having problems for Pedro de Rosa. Didn't they have a problem when they did the demonstration in London? I think Regent Street had some problems there with the drain cover. Kovalainen hasn't got the problem that they had before with the air gun, but there's something else causing a problem. And Kubica is right on Vettel's tail then as they come through the tunnel. Suddenly there's problems for Sebastian Vettel. Ansel dominated everything, then had that loose wheel nut, went into a stop, just caught up Senna as if there was no problem at all. How they are a coming force. No pun intended, because they had real problems. That while we give full credit to Mark Webber for notching 3 poles in a row, he knows, Red Bull know, that if Sebastian Vettel hadn't suffered that roll bar problem, this is where the pit crew comes in to be absolutely crucial. You may remember there was a problem at Trulli stopping for Lotus. He's had a few problems this weekend. He's dropped well back. That's because of Liuzzi there. And Max is still in front, and Liuzzi's gone spinning and lost part of his rear wing, it would seem. Liuzzi there caused a bit of a problem. Yes, he really caused problems there. All sorts of problems there for Michael Schumacher. Button now having a go at Kobayashi. Got to get his line right. Not getting too close. We've seen problems. Key about these tyres that go on the harder compound. Sometimes there's often a difficulty and a problem, but we're told by engineers that there is no such problem. That's dangerous. At least it hasn't flown off. Remember, we had Sauber had problems. Oh, here we are.
Alonso's got a... yeah, sorry.
He's got a drive-through penalty. Oh my word.
I'd like to hear that radio conversation when he gets told that.
I think we'll distort without any problems at all there. Sauber certainly find their feet, find their rhythm, even though De La Rosa's retired because of a mechanical problem. Hello, this is Alonso. Now what's happened here? Is that a problem at the left rear? Puncture left rear. Yep, so there was a problem left rear. Buemi in the Toro Rosso has lost his rear wing, and that's going to cause problems. That's not what he needed. It is. He's got a problem there, hasn't he? There's a problem there. Both Force Indies we gather in. Yes, that is. That's 1 then 4. Was it Liuzzi then who had the problem? Webber needs to get the tyres to warm up quick as possible, and this is the problem.
Alonso looking much more confident at this phase of the race.
This is his problem. Those soft tyres have gone for 34 laps. That's extraordinary. No such problems. Maybe that's a problem, Alguersuari.
You have to switch them off and not leave oil on the track. It's a responsibility you have to everybody.
We had that problem yesterday, and Robert Kubica was 19th. Well, he wasn't going to score from then, and it's got even more problematical. That's Lewis Hamilton's gone off the road. Something's gone wrong. Now there were brake problems. Because remember in China, wasn't it, we had problems there. Worst race of the year with Jenson Button down in 9th and Lewis Hamilton already retired because of transmission problems. Mark Webber was concerned. Here comes Buttons on the inside of Kubica. Has he judged it right? They've both gone, they're all going off. That's because of the conditions. They've all got to make sure that they get into trouble. There's a problem there. Absolutely, really, it's absolutely pouring at over the start-finish straight where we are. So that could cause even more problems. Her talk there from Rocky, Sebastian Vettel's race engineer. That race. Oh, there's a problem there. Vettel has lost it there on Jenson Button, and that's gone. Pit lane speed limiter, don't make things worse, don't compound the problems. Them all flooding in comes Alonso, Rosberg, Petrov, Trulli, Vettel, De Grassi, all coming into the pits now. They're changing, and there's a problem there with Alonso. And he's got through, Webber is through into second place. Dreadful there for Robert Kubica. Had a problem with the pits.
He's had a great start, look at him right in there with the Ferrari. He's got to be careful that Massa
they're coming together there, there's a problem there with Lewis Hamilton. What a shambles there for the world champion leader.
Problem with the engine. Problem with the engine. Seems like it's dying. Engine is dying on me.
Understood.
That's an engine problem. Straight through. Not a problem. So, I mean, he's going to have to stay steady as Mark Webber. He's had problems. Get the limiter on. That was almost a problem there. That is a fantastic result for Sebastian Vettel, given where he started, given the problems yesterday. By the way, here, Alonso's got no such problems. I'm not sure if they didn't have warning, given the fact that they would have been radioed by Nick Heidfeld that there was a problem. Crucial that Red Bull rectified their starts. They've had problems. So Liuzzi stopped. His race is over. He was training yesterday, had brake problems. Double the concentration, they say, underneath these lights. The glare causing problems. He's dropped right back because of that problem.
Just check that we're not sure if the car's okay or not, so don't commit.
Oh, there's a problem there with, that looked like Kobayashi, was it? The Red Bull mechanics are waiting. We can see them in the pit lane in case there's a problem. This is Michael Schumacher, who's got problems. Piano truly had a radiator problem. Robert Kubica is retiring. He was in second place. There's a problem. But sadly, the problems there mean that he is not going to be a feature in this race. Rosberg in 8th, Schumacher in 9th. Had a few problems, few issues. Michael Schumacher saying to you on the grid, wasn't it, that he had a problem with Vettel has just set the fastest lap. No such problems for the Red Bulls here. There's a lot of smoke coming out of that Sutil's engine. Yeah. That is, because Liuzzi's out, so there's a problem here. Oh, Sutil's gone spinning round. Oh, there's a problem here. That's a Mercedes. Mercedes is off. Now we're going to see this as he emerges out of the pit lane, and there's not going to be any problems. So he actually had a problem, and there's debris as well. Look at that. Shards of carbon fibre from the front wing. Puncture problems.
That right front seemed to be a long time, didn't it?
This is taking, like, it is still, it's a problem. There's a problem there. And Alonso's problem in the pit lane has caused him to drop a place just as the camera changed as they came down that pit straight. So seemingly no problems there. And Jenson Button coming under attack from Sutil, almost went into, and then was Jenson Button was having a problem with Kobayashi. As Sutil runs a little bit wide there, that was not part of his plan, and that will undo all his hard work and obviously cause problems.
Something sounds sick out there.
Something's wrong.
Something's
That's Vettel
wrong.
in problem. Here comes Alonso. This is crucial. Vettel's got a problem and Alonso's through. Vettel has a problem. He's led all the way, because he pray now to Lewis Hamilton. Suddenly all the else has a problem. The engine seems to have gone. So Kubica is promoted and Luzzi is right on the tail of Barrichello. Is he going to have problems as well? Felipe Massa asked to step up by his Ferrari president, and he's done so. Yes, there was a bit of luck because Vettel had his problem within the Ferrari team that they're being held up for too long. They'd have to be something present. Oh, there's a problem.
Yeah, problem.
Is that Barrichello's got a problem?
Left front puncture, I think.
Oh, you just would not credit it, would you? If it was ever going to happen to any driver, a problem, mechanical problem. Remember, he was leading in 2003 before he had a fuel pickup problem. I was saying it was he ran out of fuel. It's Rubens Barrichello. He had the same problem, didn't he? He had a puncture. So Liuzzi causes more problems here. Red Bull's particularly easy on these tyres. Ferrari less so if they have problems in the rear. Here's Mark Webber. Now, was this a little problem for Mark Webber as he went across on the curb, running very close, very, very, very close then to the Armco.
He touched it, but it's no problem.
Oh, he's run a little bit wide there. Now that could have been a little bit of a problem.
Oh, thank you, boys. Unbelievable.